So just a few days ago, we had WWDC. All rumours have now been answered. We know what the event held in store for us, but I've got a question for you. Do you think we are getting to about the best that OS and iOS can be? That's what we're going to check out in this video. Hi there guys, and welcome back to me, David, talking tech. As you know, we do it every week here on the channel. We talk about everything to do with Mac, and of course this week I had to talk about WWDC. As I record this, the event went out yesterday and it was busy, it was full, but I've kind of got this nagging question at the back of my mind. I couldn't decide if I was satisfied or not with WWDC and what it gave us. Sure, there was a lot, and I'm going to go through it in just a moment and I'll explain what I'm going to be looking at. But I kind of got this feeling now that OS and iOS and the operating systems we've got are kind of as good as they can be. And every event that comes along, they give us new things or dressing up old things in a new way and making us think we need these new features on OS. But do we really? How much are we going to use some of these new features that were given to us at WWDC? My thought is that we're kind of as good as we can be now. If you think back to the iPod, people were very slow in giving way from the iPod to the iPhone, but they've done it. And people now couldn't think of a day or a life without an iPhone. I kind of think that the same is going to happen with transition over to AR, VR. Now, I've never worn a headset or a pair of specs ever, so I don't know how I'd get on with it. But I just think the scope and the breadth that AR and VR brings along with it could be the future. That's what makes me think that kind of iPhone, iOS, iPad, macOS, we're kind of as good as we need it to be. We've done all we can do with it, and now it's just a case of polishing up what we already have got. But it's not really going anywhere new. Or am I being unfair? What I thought I'd do in this video is to have a look through some of the highlights that came out of iOS, iPadOS, watchOS, macOS. Just go through it all, but then also highlight the things that we were given, but that I don't think will be part of everyday life. So let's get into the video and look at some of the highlights and some of the things I think are just a little bit questionable. So the star of the show clearly was iOS. It's the OS that we use virtually every day on our iPhone. And I guess the biggest news of all, the biggest addition to iOS was the fact that we now got live, as it were, lock screens. The lock screens can be very personalized to you. You can add your own pictures, of course, but now you can change the fonts. The time can slightly go behind your pictures. You can change the color of the fonts, the size of the fonts, and you can add widgets to those lock screens as well. Brilliant. And we're told that perhaps on the 14 Pro phones that are coming out later this year, that also it'll have an always-on display. Great. Fantastic. But when I woke up the morning after WWDC, there was this chatter saying that people are going to be creating this stream of lock screens that they choose to have during different parts of the day, and also linked to focus modes. And I'm thinking, is it me? Is it me being awkward? Or will you bother to do that? Surely if you spent time personalizing a lock screen, and it's going to take some time, you're going to change the fonts, the colors, the layout, the filters, maybe add a focus mode to it. Are you going to do that on endless amounts of lock screens? I don't know. It just seems to me exactly what I was saying at the beginning of the video. It's great, but we've kind of got as far as we can go. One, maybe two, maybe want an evening lock screen and a daytime lock screen, possibly. But after you spend time personalizing them, are you going to spend time on anything else? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Maybe it's just me being weird, but I think if I've got one or two that I'm happy with, that will do me very nicely indeed. Thank you. So the next big reveal was to do with messages in iOS, and this is brilliant. Now, this is the difference. This is a real-world use scenario that we will use. The fact that you're going to be able to edit, send messages, and also unsend sent messages. That is brilliant. A real welcome addition to iOS. But you see the contradiction between that and live activities. They spent some time talking about notifications, and now we're going to have, if you're following a live sport, for instance, or if you've got an Uber on the way with your food, or you're waiting for an Uber to come to the door, you'll now get live updates. Okay, so you used to get a number of notifications come up on the screen, which was a little bit annoying. But really, live update, live activities, is that something that really gets your juices running? It was just another one of those things, well, we might as well spend some time on it, and that's what we're going to give you. I can't really see me using that an awful lot. If I'm watching a tennis match, say, and I go out, it's just as easy to look at it on an app as it is to have notifications come up, I'd have thought. So I don't know, this is the point though. So many of these things were made to sound brilliant, but then as I thought about them, I'm left thinking, will I really use them? So another two things that came along in iOS that I'm not sure how useful they're going to be in the real world One's called intelligence, and that's where you can take an object or a picture in the foreground, take it away from the background, and then use that cutout and put it into messages, or I suppose into notes, and use it generally like that. Now, it's great. It could also be doing me out of a job because I work in Photoshop all of the time. But yeah, okay, that might be useful if it works as well as the demo showed that it worked on the conference. And also, family sharing. Now, the actual family sharing app, I'm a massive fan of. I've written blogs about it. I think it's brilliant. My daughter's logged into Apple TV through it. It is fantastic. Love it to bits. But now they've got this idea of the family sharing album, and I just don't know if that's reinventing something we've kind of got already. Okay, so everybody in the family group can edit the photos, add to those photos in the album. I get that. But surely if you've got some pictures, you can put them into an album anyway. They can send you some pictures, share their pictures, add them to the album. I don't know. Is it me again? I just don't see that being of use in the real day, everyday use that iPhone users have. But I might be wrong. I'm willing to stand and fall on my sword through the course of this video. Let me know if that's something that you actually do like, or whether, again, you think it's just, kind of already there, won't need to use it in the future. Live text and videos, dictation, shortcuts, and of course, smart home. All of these things were talked about, but I don't think they're going to make our lives better day to day. Do you? I don't know. It might just be me. Now, I love a gadget. I love toys. I would love to have a smart home, for instance. I asked the locksmith about putting a keyless front door on so I could just use my iPhone to unlock it. £700 to £1,000. A couple of new keys, 10 to 20 quid. It just doesn't work out. And I would love to have that kind of tech around me, but where would I start? And that's the point I'm making. Some of these things were very clever. Some of them are making them a little bit better than they were before. But how much or how often are you going to use live text and video? Is it going to make a difference to your everyday life? I'm betting not. Okay, so they brought some of the fitness rings to the iPhone. You can use a sort of a slimmed down version of Apple Watch on your iPhone. I haven't got an Apple Watch yet. I still wear an old-fashioned watch. I am really tempted with the Apple Watch. I know everyone that's got them loves them. And maybe putting these fitness rings onto my iPhone will be sort of like the gateway drug. Maybe that will drag me into getting an Apple Watch. I don't know. But again, that's, I think, is usable. But I'm using other health apps anyway. I've got the health apps already on the phone. I check my steps on there daily. And I suppose the more I get into it, the better it will be. So that I'll give them that. That is useful. And one other feature that they made a big play about was Carplay. Now, I happen to have a Lexus that's got a Carplay system in it. My biggest gripe is that year, and it's not an old car, it's about 2 years old, I have to attach a lightning cable to the phone to enable CarPlay. There is an area in the car that I can put the phone for wireless charging, but that doesn't enable CarPlay. That would be the first. The first point I would ask was just to have wireless, just be able to put it in the car and CarPlay work. CarPlay is pretty neat, and it gets all the apps that I've got on the phone on the display. One of the great things is that it reads out in live time messages as they come through, so that's good, and you can answer them via the voice assistant Siri, say it quietly, clearly. And yeah, so it's all very useful. But they're talking about now taking CarPlay to a whole nother level where it's multi-screen, so any displays you've got on screen, be it the cluster in front of you, any display screens to the right or left of you, they're all going to be driven by CarPlay, which is great, but of course, that means you're going to have to buy a new car. Quite an expensive outlay just to use a new bit of iOS kit, I'm sure you'll agree. And if Apple have gone that far, I just wonder if they've ever thought about making a car. Apple Watch, they got some tweaks. There was swimming enhancements, there was new workout modes, there was new faces, some new languages. It's got the medicine scanning app now, which will be useful, I guess. It's meant to monitor your sleep better, but I'm told there are other apps out there that monitor sleep better already. So again, with the watch, Apple Watch is a classic thing. As I said earlier on, I'm thinking about getting an Apple Watch, but it's kind of as good as it can be. There's not a lot more they can do with a wearable. I know we're thinking about blood monitoring in years to come, but for the time being, it's kind of as good as it can be. So even with the additions they made to it, and they spent a lot of time talking about fitness in the Apple Watch, which clearly is its niche in the market, there's still a limit to what they can do. But you guys, you've got Apple Watches. The differences that are coming in watchOS 9, will that be a welcome addition to you? Do you think it made your watch even more usable? I'd love to know. Help me spend my money. Do you think I need an Apple Watch? I'm here for the taking. It could happen this year. It really could. So that's my kind of work through on WWDC, the goods and the not so goods, the things I think we will use and the things I think just were there for glitter and to fill some stage time. I might be being harsh. After the event, I sat down and thought long and hard about how much I would be using even half of what was given to us. It was a long event. It was nearly 2 hours long. And a lot of what they spoke about is not going to affect my day-to-day life at all. And I am surrounded in Apple and the Apple ecosystem. And if I can't see a place to use it, what's the layman going to do with it? I just think we've got more than we need at our fingertips already. It's already a brilliant ecosystem. It already works. But it might, again, just be me. Let me know. Am I being a little bit harsh on WWDC? Point me in the direction of the things that I should be embracing and the things I should be trying to use on a day-to-day basis. If you could help me out, I would be ever so grateful. If you enjoyed this video, hang around at the end because there's going to be a link to where you can watch a video where I talk about my first few days with Apple Silicon, having been Intel for all those years. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.